Hi, well today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Orthoceras, fossil cuttlefish. Coming from an unimaginably early time on the face of the planet, 400 million years ago. This period is called the Silurian, or the major, there are subdivisions, but majorly it's called the Silurian period. These fossil cuttlefish were very, very common. They were a major dominant species in the seas at the time, though the seas weren't. There was a sea called the Tethys Sea, which had many different branches. One of which it remains the Mediterranean today, but basically all over where the Sahara is now. It's slightly more difficult to explain where it was because the tectonic plates have shifted, so the sea has disappeared. But that's basically where it was, and where that sea was, you actually get the remains of these creatures are so vastly common that the actual rock is almost made of them. If you look at this piece here, each of these here are individual fossil shells of the Orthoceras, which are similar to cuttlefish and squid today, or their forebears. They ranged, as they do today, from very tiny, like thumb size or less in size, right up to giants, which would have had body lengths of 30 to 40 foot or more. The giant versions don't tend to be fossilised whole, because when they fell to the seafloor, the pressure of the depths would destroy the bodies. So the intense pressure on them would destroy the bodies. However, these shells here are not placed in the rock. They are actually, because they're actually there, literally in the mud as they would have fallen. Because and the reason for this is because the breeding cycle involved them spawning, and literally hundreds of millions or possibly more larvae would then set off on the carried by currents in the sea. A very small proportion, relatively speaking, would actually make it back the next year to actually breed again. But once they bred, there's a biological switch, which meant that they would literally they would die once they'd bred successfully, because in a way, from a Darwinian point of view, they carried out their purpose. There are still shellfish today where the same pattern is shown, where they will breed and then die, but that meant that they were very concentrated in a particular area for breeding, and then obviously when they died they were also very concentrated, which is the reason for the concentration in the rock, and literally the rock being there. So you can see the smooth part is the shells, and then the rougher part is actually the mud in which the shells fell down. And this happened for several 100 million years during the Silurian period. So there's an awful lot of them out there fossilised. There are many different species. They're also related to ammonites and to the nautilus, which survive today, and so on. They were outcompeted by fish eventually, and the change in climate and so on and so forth. But that's a beginning of an introduction to Orthoceras. Whenever you have 5 minutes to talk about something like this, it's like opening the Encyclopedia Britannica and reading the first page. It tells you lots of stuff, but mainly about where you need to go for learning more. And I hope to be able to talk to you more about these at another time, in another broadcast. It's been lovely talking to you. If you have any questions, then please do get in touch through the website or by phone to the shop. These are available from the shop. This one is around £30. There are smaller versions as well, like for example that. It's about £7, and then you get smaller ones than that. Sometimes they're made into jewellery as well, very small ones. They can be made into pendants or earrings, so you can get fossil jewellery made out of them as well. So there's a certain different ways they can be used. But just as an object, they're very beautiful, and I think in some ways they're quite Art Deco because of the colour scheme, the black and greys and so on and so forth. They make a beautiful ornament as well as an amazing remnant of nature's abundance and so on in the past that survives to this day. I think Johnny Wilkinson's bathroom is actually he's got the walls covered in these, because you can also get flat plates with them on as well. So I heard that once. There's a small fact for you during the Rugby World Cup. But anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I hope you've enjoyed this little talk. Thank you very much.